Once upon a time in a land not far, there was a car race called Jackocar. His little series thought it would be grand, but everything went wrong, no one took a stand. The drivers were slow, the cars were bad, the fans in the stands were mostly mad. The tracks were a mess, it was such a shame. Everybody knew this was a losing game. Oh, Jackocar, yeah, what a disgrace. A laughing stock in the auto race, but Garrett said, hey, give me 2 years, I'll turn this around, wipe away your tears. Garrett had a plan, oh yes he did. He worked at night, he never hid. Got the best driver's cars tuned to perfection. Suddenly Jackocar was headed in the right direction. The pits were slick, the engines roared, fans came back, they weren't bored. Garrett turned the series into a star. Now everyone wants to be a part of Jackocar. From zero to hero, what a ride. Garrett's magic couldn't be denied. But now the clock is ticking, can they win? One chance to let the fun begin. So here's to Garrett, the man of the hour. Turn Jackocar, Kia from sour to power. Let's raise a cheer for one last race. Go win it all, end with grace. upon a time in a land not far, there was a car race called Jackocar. His little series thought it would be grand, but everything went wrong, no one took a stand. The drivers were slow, the cars were bad, the fans in the stands were mostly mad. The tracks were a mess, it was such a shame. Everybody knew this was a losing game. Oh, Jackocar, yeah, what a disgrace. A laughing stock in the auto race, but Garrett said, hey, give me 2 years, I'll turn this around, wipe away your tears. Garrett had a plan, oh yes he did. He worked at night, he never hid. Got the best driver's cars due to perfection. Suddenly Jackocar was headed in the right direction. The pits were slick, the engines roared, fans came back, they weren't bored. Gareth turned the series into a star. Now everyone wants to be a part of Jackocar. From zero to hero, what a ride. Gareth's magic couldn't be denied. But now the clock is ticking, can they win? One chance to let the fun begin. So here's to Gareth, the man of the hour. Turn Jackocar, Kiev from sour to power. Let's raise a cheer for one last race. Go win it all, end with grace.
Manchester City, the kings of English football again.
You'll never stop this thing. I will never let you go.
Well, hello, good evening, and hopefully, welcome back to the Jackocar Kia series. Hopefully you can all hear me. We're going to test it, because it is the first one of the season. So we will wait till the stream catches up live, and we'll go live, and just make sure I can hear my beautiful voice. You can! Lovely! Fantastic! Good evening everyone, how are you doing? Hope you're having a lovely summer. My name is Gareth Hall, lead commentator, 4-time golden microphone winner here in Jackocar, and joined for this season by a new co-commentator for the moment. I think we might even expand our team, but for now, welcome to a man that's going to be joining me in the commentary box for the season, but tonight will be taking the role of driver comms, and that's Mr. Knighton. Pete Knighton back in the Kia series commentary box.
Do I want to be back? But thank you for a wonderful intro, Gareth. I was commentator back in season 1, and I do not forget how bad the racing can be in Kia. But with this season, our final season in Kia, hopefully it will be the best of them all with the caliber of drivers we've managed to bring in from not only the Cup Series, but I believe a newcomer as well.
Yes, It's well, let's hope it is as good as it should be, because I've basically designed this season. So it's if it all goes wrong, it's all my fault. But yes, Pete back in the commentary box. He was, of course, with Risky. They did season 1, I think season 2 as well, because I think I joined Kia in season 2, and you commentated over me. My fortunate, very short stay in the Kia series. For those of you that are watching the stream, not sure if Pete as well. What I'd like to do is introduce my commentators with an image of them. Now,
Oh no.
Mr. Knight.
Oh no. I'm not looking forward to this. I will tune in right now.
I just saying that I've gone through a couple of archives of images. Can you explain why you're smiling whilst being somewhat apprehended by stormtroopers, and also talking as if you're part of Hufflepuff?
Well, that picture, I believe you might have taken from probably my Facebook profile back in the day. So I went to Birmingham NEC Comic Con back in 2016, and there were a couple of stormtroopers there. I believe I'm wearing a Star Wars top as well in that photo. I thought I'd get a photo with them, and they forced me to the ground, because I may not have made a rude comment about them shooting their shot and all that. And I was laughing because the friend I was with was being an absolute. Do I want to be PC? Call him an asshole? I don't know.
Can do what you want.
The Hufflepuff thing. Fair enough. And the Hufflepuff thing is from doing, I think, a quiz back in the day on Facebook, and it made you put that as a background thing on there. I don't know, I can't remember, but yeah, based on the answers you did for that Harry Potter. I was laughing because the friend I was with. Yeah, that explains that profile picture. I am surprised you chose that one and not choose the more revealing photo or videograph of the recent filming segment back in the day at Bournemouth Beach. But
don't worry, they're on the list. They're coming.
Oh God, oh God. I'm not looking forward to those photos. Please avert your eyes, and all children, please look away before they go blind as well, if you ever see those photos ever online.
So, hopefully, Kieran, you can hear me a bit better. I've turned myself up to 100. I usually run on 70, and it's usually fine. So, it will be loud. It might be a little bit too loud. I'm peaking a little bit on OBS, but do let me know. Championship will be the longest ever in the Kia Series history. These guys will all be contesting themselves over a 17 race long calendar. So what was usually what you'd see in the Cup Series, you're seeing now in Kia. We're starting off in Monaco, heading down through Belgium. And of course, we have the likes of Bahrain, UAE, and then we hit the Americas, Canada, Brazil, Mexico, Miami, Kota, and then Las Vegas, before the playoffs takes us to Monza, the Netherlands, for the Kedtrav Invitational Sprint, Australia, San Marino, GB, Singapore, and we finish up at the Speedway for a Speedway C5. Really mixing it up compared to what some of these guys will be doing in the Cup Series. And yeah, if you are new to Jackocar, it's a very different league. I'm sure by now a lot of you will be very much knowing of the rules, what we do, how it works, but I will go through some of it for you. It's a well, I haven't updated this slide. I will update this slide, I just didn't get time, so it's Kia, who cares. Anyway, you can see it's a mandatory 2-stop, 1 joker per season. That means you can do one race per season, which is elected before the season starts, where you can do 1 stop only. Sim damage, we do hot lap qualification, so everyone gets 1 out lap, 1 fast lap, 1 in lap. They're all running multiplayer liveries. If anyone's running stock, they will get a 5 race ban. We do a regular season, a playoffs, and a 1 race championship 5, where only 5 drivers, the 4 top in the playoffs, and the chase winner, the lucky loser, only one of those 5 will win the championship. Dynamic weather, there will be stage points, and it's very much win and you are in. If you win a race in the regular season, you will advance to the playoffs. It's 5 playoff points for a Joker win, 5 for a race win, and then you see 1 for podiums, fastest lap stage wins, most laps led, and 1 for a lap led itself. And then regular season playoff points go down through 12 through 3 from first, second, and third. The drivers this season we are expecting to see, we don't have all of them, but we are expecting to have the majority of them, is going to be the likes of Ben Harrop, is going to be the likes of Jamie Griffiths, of Sullivan Lewis. Yuri Hasselaga is making his return, so there's plenty more coming. Mike Kelsmore, MK Bourne, the former race winner. Dan Price, Matt Lester. Danny Quinn's back in the Kia Series. Michel Gorry's back in the Kia Series as well. So plenty of high caliber drivers that will be making their way through to this one. You can see on screen just how stacked this grid is, Pete.
Yeah, there's a lot of drivers in there that you would expect to be fighting, especially for the podiums, but race wins as well. I'm hoping for a new driver to win a race in Kia as well. Hopefully we don't get too much dominance from these drivers that have returned. There's likes of Yuri and Quinn returning. And then Risky, our Season 7 champion, will probably be trying to go back-to-back for the first time, not only in Kia, but in all of time of Jackocar. Yeah, I'm looking forward to a good season, but as I have watched your commentary and the live streams over the past 4 or 5 seasons, I expect, as always, chaos, carnage, and safety cars.
Absolutely, and we wouldn't have it any other way. And we start it off in Monaco. As you see, we will be heading to the Principality, a 3.3 kilometre circuit, it's 2.07 miles, 39 laps tonight. We have one Joker, so one driver doing a solitary pit stop tonight. That is Dustin Rolko, who you will see as Fozzie Bear 70 when we head to the track. Pole position last season, which was actually round 1 of last season as well, is a 1:11.750. That was set by Robin Border Rageman, who I don't believe is here. No, he's not here this week either. The last winner was Dan Price on debut. He took it I believe on a penalty. Fastest lap was set by Jacko, the man himself, Mr. Okar, a 1:13.355. Couple of new rules for this season. I know it's going to look a little bit squashed and small. Didn't really have time to update all of this, but anyone that rage quits throughout the season, basically it's called the anti-Danny Quinn rule, will receive a -3 playoff point in the standings. Free agents are drivers that have not been selected in the draft. If you want to go see the draft, you can go back on the YouTube channel and watch it back to see how the draft was concluded, how these guys got in and out. And well, it means that we've got one driver in tonight at least under a free agent rule. If a free agent wins a race, which is basically anyone that's non-full-time, then all other drivers will have to donate £5 to a charity of Jackocar's choosing. And another rule that was brought in between seasons is any contact under the safety car, any 5-second penalties that get added will not be removed post-race, and also the driver that crashes into someone under the safety car will be reprimanded regardless, because it happened too often last season. Qualifying rules have also changed slightly. You usually see in Jackocar in the Cup Series that the guys that have got the most amount of points will come out. They get the benefit of coming out later in the qualifying sessions. However, because of the way that we've set up Quali and the Kia Series this time around with an all-star cast, it is now going to be reversed order. So the drivers at the bottom of the standings will come out last. Drivers at the top will come out first. How has it been sorted out for tonight? Well, it's been sorted out by draft order. So the highest draft, so the guys that came in the likes of 17, 18, 19, 20 are all going out first, and the lowest will be going out last. So hopefully that is enough to get your head around for now. I will click on action on my OBS, and now usually it's only waits on doing laps at the moment, so I mean he's not even a free agent, he's kind of just here. This is basically like putting an F3 car on circuit. I'm going to click action. Sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. So let's click it, and hopefully we'll go on screen with a Welshman that's going to put his car in the wall, and means that we don't have to watch the majority of this lap. As Weiss now out on circuit, making his way around. Yuri, Kia like never before. He loves to see it. Oh, I don't know if I do. I was quite enjoying my Tuesday nights, especially when we were Jacko balling it up. But Jacko Ball, of course, moving to Wednesdays now. So plenty of Jacko Ball action to be had over what's going to be the coming months. And whilst we have Wace completing his lap, we also have Mr. Knighton on his. What we're going to do is we're going to let Pete go through his tunnel. And I'm going to do what Owen did to me the other day. I'm going to make Pete commentate through the rest of his lap and just see how much it puts him off.
Yeah, well, breaking into the no-roll chicane, you've got to get it into third gear. Make sure you don't cut that inside corner and then into the back. One of, I believe, the fastest, the most difficult corners on the track to get right. And then you invalidate your lap time before you head into the swimming pool section. Try not to ride over the curves too much. Into the final braking zone, essentially, of Rascas corner. And then around the final corner, get on the power nice and early. DRS open and up to the line. That would have been a 1:10.5 if I had not been a moron and done what I kept doing in practice, was cutting the no-roll chicane.
And it's interesting that Daniel Quinn had such an issue with Pete Knighton being in the Kia series that he'd be far too fast, and what he's going to be doing instead is starting from the back. And a 10.5 would have been 7/10 slower than Wace. This is possibly the man to watch out for, Ben Harrett, of course. He's been in a Cup C5. He's dropped down. This was our number 1 draft pick in the draft. He is coming in as basically the man to beat. Even though Sullivan Lewis, of course, last season's champion, was the number 2 draft pick, Ben Harrett comes in a rich vein of form. He started off the Cup Series this season in, well, basically the same form he finished it on the last game. We've got to think that Ben's going to be in a very good stead to do very well this evening. Up to the line, it's going to be tracking for about an 11. It's an 11.1, so comfortably slower than the Wace there. And MK Bourne is the next up. He's out in making his way through the swimming pool section, in and out, through the right to the left, keep it out of the outside wall, just about misses it, in towards the Rascas. And Anthony Noakes is the final corner that leads you on to the main straight. A short DRS spell, basically the only time you get to use it throughout the lap. Up to the line for Mike, it's an 11.658, and I'm wondering where on earth Wace has got a 9.8 from, seeing as our Cup Series drivers aren't even getting out the 11s at the moment.
He might have optimised the usage of the ERS modes that you can now do in qualifying. I, for one, only used overtake once, and that was up the hill towards Casino. And then you, funnily enough, put me on the spot for commentary, and I just forgot all about the use of ERS going for the rest of the lap, but it didn't really matter in the first place. Yeah, I think it's just drivers are trying to be safe in qualifying. Not do what I've essentially done and invalidated the lap time. Keep it out of the walls and just get a time on the board. Because track position is key around Monaco.
Is that better, children? I know you said the game you'll do is a bit loud. I haven't done any of the settings for audio on this new game, so it will. We're going to be learning as we go. So I've turned it down to 3. Is that any better? Can you hear us over the sound of the audio? I have got in theory, the master level is down at 6 as well, so it shouldn't even be that loud. So, but I will wait upon Jake and Kieran's, I would say, expert advice, but we're talking about Jake and Kieran, so probably only 1/2. Thank you, Jake. I will disregard Kieran's thoughts on it because I've got a much better point of view from Mr. O'Sullivan. Dan Price, he's done a 1:11.993. Danny Quinn is done a 1:11.7. Where the fuck is this 1.9 come from? As you say, has he optimised it, or has he found a way to ignore a corner? Because seemingly everyone's struggling to get out the 11s, even with the track potentially becoming a little bit less green. Harry Collier out on circuit. This is a man that desperately needs to win a race this season. He's been there or thereabouts so far, because he's going to come through to back into the swimming pool. You flick in and flick out, keep it as straight as possible. He gets off the throttle just a little bit too much there. You want to kind of hop over the exit of the swimming pool chicane, keep as much speed as possible in through Anthony Noakes. DRS open, use the rest of the battery, and up to the line. That's as much as possible. It's a good thing there's no car on the inside line there, as he would have gone straight into the back of it. But it's a 1:12.2 for Harry. So weirdly, the times are actually getting slower as we go on, which is, I mean, to be fair, is what we were expecting, of course, with the fact that the slower drivers are coming out later on. But what it does mean is the track should be balancing itself out a little bit. So we'll see what Jacko can do. One driver that is semi-comfortable around here is a 12.103, puts himself in front of Harry. And, well, all these guys, currently, what have we got? We've got 11s through, we're starting to hit the 12s. Pete, we've got KK out now. Do you want to take us around with Michael's lap?
Yeah, he took a very wide apex of turn 1, missed the curve. You want to really optimise that curve at entry, going into there to optimise the line and get as close to the wall as possible on exit. It's a little bit loose as he heads down towards the second sector into the hairpin. This is quite difficult sometimes now in this game. You need to really force your steering round through the hairpin and get on the power nice and early. Keep it in second as you go through towards the tunnel. Now would be the best optimal time to start using that overtake mode rather than keeping it in outlap down towards the no-go chicane. Nice and early on the brakes to get it nice and stopped. Don't clip the inside wall, as I have done many a time with the rear wheel through there. Keep it nice and tight. Don't invalidate like I did. And through tobacco goes. Its fifth gear is the optimal gear nowadays through there. Oh, and he invalidates his lap time, cutting it through the chicane and keeping it out of the wall. But that'll be Michael joining myself towards the back of the grid.
Yeah, I think Michael is on pad. I'm pretty sure he said he's on pad this week as well. So on pad, wasn't using any extra battery, which I've already said several times. I think is ridiculous. They brought that back in. I don't care about micromanaging during my quality lap. Just let me get on with it. But as you say, invalidates will be at the back with Pete. Jess on her lap, running the purple and yellow. We've seen her run for what it feels like the last 5-6 seasons or so. Down now through the exit of the chicane, past the harbour, through to back. Of course, you have all the yachts on the outside of everyone enjoying their champagne, strawberries, whatnot, all the toffs, all the poshos. Watching those cars go around, in through the Rascasse, in through Anthony Noakes. Jess exits. She's looking at probably tracking towards a 12, maybe even a 13. She comes up to the line. It's a 12.106, 0.003 of a second slower than Jacko, but ahead of Harry. So I don't think she'll be too displeased with that. As Michael is in, Bazza is now on his flying lap, going down the hill in towards the Lowe's hairpin, the Grand Hotel hairpin, whatever you want to call it. It's got a name. And these guys all making their way around what is one of the best circuits in F1. It's just a shame they put cars the size of ships on it, because it really is a lot of fun to watch these. And if you haven't watched races back in the mid-90s, early 2000s, that's when F1 was really coming into its own in sort of around the streets. And Bazza running his Brawn livery, which he does tend to do most times per season. Is the back end of it though is stepping out all over the place. So very, very loose back end of that car in through the Rascasse. And well, he's tracking. It's not looking as though it's going to be a great lap from Bazza. It looks as though he's going to be sort of challenging for the back row of the grid, and it is a 14.7 from Bazza. And Jake is now coming through the swimming pool.
Yeah, I'm just watching that lap with Bazza. He looked quite loose on a lot of exit corners. It wouldn't be Bazza racing in Kia Series if he wasn't running a Brawn livery. Jake, though, up towards the line. It's going to be a 13 dead. Slots himself in between Bazza and Harry. As you said, even though the track's supposed to be getting quicker in terms of grip on the track, the drivers seem to be getting a little bit slower in terms of lap time. But I feel like drivers are just wanting to set a lap time. They get a feel for the car on the track. And up next is Fuzzy Bear.
It is Dustin Rolko, the man on his Joker, so needs a good quality lap. Well, we actually ignored, didn't see that Matt Shepard has gone P2. So Shep was clearly on a flying lap at the same time as someone else, and apologies I've missed that one, Shep, but currently provisionally on the front row, which would be a great quality time and position for Matt to start his basically third campaign in Kia Series, I think it is by now. But Dustin Rocco, he needs a good quality result here. On the Joker, he needs to stay out of trouble, ideally needs to get towards the front, and well, as Basser stops on track very nicely, gets out of the way, no issue there. And this is looking as though it's a good lap from Dustin. It's not going to challenge the top 5. In fact, it's a 12.8. It's a little bit slow through the third sector. He was doing a little bit better through the first and second, but he's actually qualified down in 10th position. It shows how close it is there, that losing that 0.6 of a second, possibly in the third sector, has cost you, what, 3, 4, 5 positions even, with 6th place down through what to 9th place is split by just under 0.3 of a second. So close. Will it be closed up by this man, the returning 2-time champion? It's Yuri Haslager. He begged, he cried, he wanted to go back. We finally let him do it. Yuri up to the line. It's not going to be pole, but it is going to be a second row start. P4 for Yuri, and a slightly, he'll say it's because I haven't had the game very long. I've been on holiday. Actually, he would say like that. Hey guys, I've been on holiday. I haven't played the game. Yeah, not good enough from Yuri. P4 there for a former champion.
Yeah, I was talking to Yuri before the race. He said he was really struggling around this track on this game. He's struggling with traction on the exit of corners. The tyre wear on his rears as well has been extremely high. He just hasn't been able to get to grips with the game just yet. Yes, the excuse of his 2-week holiday is there, but he's had enough time to put a time on the board to get himself inside the top 4.
Hey guys, I can't go any faster in my car because I've been spending too much time on the beach with my drone. Well, Yuri, what you should have done is you should have taken your console with you and done some proper practice rather than just slumming it up on a beach in northern France. You went to the worst part of France.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'm going to agree with you there, yeah.
Wace takes pole position. God, that makes you feel dirty, doesn't it? 109.892. He's almost a second faster than Shep. So, if anything, I would like Shep and Ben Harriott to do us all a favour and just give him a tap into the runoff area at the start of effectively Saint Devot of lap 1. So, that'd be ideal. But it is Ben Harriott. Yuri, Mike, Quinn, Dan Price, Jacko, Jess, and Harry are your top 10. Fozzie, that's Dustin Rocco on his Joker, Jake, Bazza, OKK, and yourself right at the back of this one. So, Pete, the man that's clearly, according to Danny Quinn, the biggest threat tonight. What's the strategy?
What is the strategy, you may ask? I was actually wanting to be further up the grid, but now that's really thrown a spanner in the works for strategy. So I'm just going to have to take it nice and cautious off the line because it's going to be nice and slow into turn 1. Try not to go for any risky moves, and it's just going to be survival of the fittest, realistically, around this track. To finish first shaft is finished, as the great late Murray Walker would once say.
He would. Why have you not been listening to him for the last 2 years?
Well, as you know, my new name of Sir Spin-A-Lot has come to fruition. So, yeah, I've taken a different game plan into this final season of Cup Series and now into this race. We'll see how it plays out. I will be very happy if I beat my all-time record of P6 at Monaco, to be brutally honest.
I would be... Well, actually, no, I wouldn't be impressed if you go out. You should be overtaking at least 4 or 5 of the cars in front of you.
Yes.
But
just
yeah,
all picking that point where to overtake.
Yes.
Realistically,
Yeah.
As you said, it's a very tight track. The cars are extremely wide, and I agree with you with the 90s racing was fantastic to watch. The way they took the cars around as well, the risk and reward for those drivers of that caliber as well was fantastic to see.
It was. So yeah, do go back and watch some of them. They've been posting them up on YouTube recently. But tonight it's all going to be about who can challenge. Is Wace going to charge away? And he's not a free agent. So he's not actually one of the ones on the free agency list. So even if he wins this race, he's not getting into the playoffs. That's the rule. I'm sticking to it. Matt Shepherd, P2. Ben Harriott, P3. And then we've got Yuri P4, Mike P5, Danny Quinn P6, Dan Price P7, Jack Ricketts P8, Just Ball P9, Harry Collier P10, Dustin P11, Jake Warrior P12, Barry Baldwin, Michael Okeke and Pete Dyson are your 15 competing this race here in Monaco to open up the Kia Series season. Last season's round 1 got over 200 views, which is one of the most viewed races that Jackocar has had for quite a while. So do give us a bump, give us a like if you're watching along. I know some of you are doing it and don't do it, and if you don't do it, I hate you. Yeah, do click like on the video. It does, honestly, it does promote it through to other people that might be watching the game. And seeing as we're somewhat early into the game cycle, there might actually be people live streaming at the moment that would also get us recommended. And if they do, what a lull that would be. I remember getting another league that I did. We went from, I think it was about 11 viewers, and then I basically got them all to like the video, and then we got picked up by what's his name? Who was the one that was texting girls that were like 14? Limitless. We got picked up by his crowd. So we went from 11 viewers to 1,600 in about 5 minutes.
Oh, damn.
Which was slightly overwhelming.
But would you want those kind of viewers? I know they're F1 fans, but if those viewers are still watching him record and post videos, then would you really want them?
I think
watching?
I know
viewership counts and everything. The numbers
series. No, they're the exact right. They're the sort of people that Jacko wants part of this community. You want the reprobates. This is what he got. This is basically what Kia is. It's the people that are either on their way to prison or on the way out of prison. So, waistline's up. Everyone is trying to make their way in. We've got people that can't learn how to park, including Ben Harrett and Yuri. We're waiting for the lights here in Monaco to kick us off for the season. 4-5 pause, waiting for up to 5 seconds. There's a long pause out and underway, and it's a good getaway from P1. Matt Shepherd, can he hold on to P2 with Ben Harrett alongside? Yes, he can. Behind, they're all making their way through Sandevot. Looks as though somewhat cleanly, as we've actually managed to get up the hill for the first time. Hopefully Yuri's not going to decide to send it on another car earlier on in this race and claim it's their fault, but it has been a good getaway from waste. Matt Shepherd, Ben Harrett, Yuri, Mike and Danny Quinn are still all in position, I think, as Bazza gets past Jess. And Jess then drops down 1 position, 2 positions, and right in the path of Michael. So Jess, the only one so far to have dropped a position at the start of this one. Lap 1 of 39. It is a race of attrition here in Monaco. Plenty for these guys to think about as they are going around, and it is all about keeping your nerve, doing the right thing, and staying on track. So, will we see the likes of, as we're going to just quickly, I forgot to add it in. There we go. Tyre choices for everyone. So it's waste on the softs, mediums for everyone bar Dan Price. So even Dustin on his Joker has gone for the medium tyre. He'll be looking to go medium to the hards. Waste is going very, very short on his early stint. However, he needs to break away because those softs will die off quicker. And if he has to make a pit stop that he doesn't want to make, he will find himself in the middle of the pack, in traffic, and that's where you lose the time. So I'll just seeing where he is on circuit before I check in with him. But I'll let him get through the hairpin before we jump over to Pete. I'll let you can start chatting as you get into the onto the straight underneath the bridge. But yeah, lap 2 is underway. And it's still Matt Shepherd sitting within a DRS window. As Pete, as you exit Portier, why don't you tell us how your start has gone?
I actually had a good launch off the line. The issue was it was very slow into turn 1, nearly going into neutral into turn 1. But Bazza picked up some wing damage early on. I think he ran into the back of Jess going through the casino section. And yeah, he made a few mistakes that I managed to get by him. But I managed to leak a nearly 2.5 second gap to the cars ahead. I managed to close it back in with free air. Free air is nice and king, essentially, around Monaco, because you don't have to brake as early with the cars in front. And I've just got to pick my points to do my overtakes on these drivers, realistically.
Yeah, you've got to get within DRS first, as sitting just outside, now just dipping inside, as Shep is now all over the back of Waste. Waste on those soft tyres already looks as though he's hemorrhaged almost a second, and he's slow, and that's allowed Matt Shepherd just to run into the back of him slightly there, and I don't think there's any damage, but maybe green front wing for Shep, who won't be too pleased with that. That's brought Ben Harrod back into the party, so the battle at the front is at the moment just about 5 cars as Yuri's dropped down to just outside of second by as Ben Harrod gets his first penalty. 3 seconds already for warnings for Ben. So that's not ideal. That will hurt him, of course. Lap 3 already, as that was definitely a cut as well from Ben as he skips over the curbs as they go into the Raskas, and we're absolutely nose to tail at the front. Now 1, 2, 3. Oh, into the wall goes Shep on the power on exit. That loses his front right end plate, and the man that was in P2 just got on the power a little bit too hard, too early, put him into the wall. What a shame from Shep. He's going to drop down now, down past MK Vaughan. Nope, then Mike can't close and get past him just yet, but he's going to want to do it soon enough, because even with this damage, it's going to start hurting the tyres, hurting the time. But it does look as though Shep has managed to hold his own for the time being. But that brings... Well, at the moment, Wace is really backing these guys up because... Oh, there goes a front wing end plate. Whose was that? Was that Wace? I saw someone's go flying. I think it might have been our race leader who clipped a wall and lost an end plate. As we're going to try and get a better camera view at some point. It'd be lovely if one day the EA and Codemasters allowed us to select our camera angles rather than just the broadcast view. As we're going in through, yes it is, it's an end plate loss for Wace, so left hand side for him, right hand side for Shep, and as you see Shep now 1.1 seconds back, as into the final corner and out of the final corner, battle for the lead is on, and Wace loses 2 positions. Ben Harrod dives down the inside, Wace loses not only 1 but 2. Yuri now up in front of him as Wace is going to have to drop down behind. He's now got Shep behind us. KK picks up 3 seconds down in 15th position. So Shep and Wace both missing an end plate, but still crucially battling on for position. Mike sitting behind, he desperately wants to get past these guys. These of course are the some of the faster drivers, the Cup Series guys that have dropped down to make Kia more competitive. That was the plan, that was the whole aim of it, is to bring the speed up. You don't get any quicker by racing against slow people and people that can't race properly. We need to bring in some talent, and this is effectively what you do with the youngsters in football. You put them in with the, you put them in out of the under-19s, out of the 21s. You put them in with the first team, get them some experience, and that's what we're doing with our Kia Series drivers. As Mike's still sitting behind Matt Shepherd for P4 as that's Shep into the wall again. He's just a bit of understeer through the corner, and it's both him and Wace just followed Wace's line as Shep gets the 3-second time penalty, opens up the inside to the Raskas, and I think we might see Shep in. No, he doesn't. He clips the back of Mike, spins him around, and that is going to be Mike down now to P7, and that was silly. Mike tried to hang around the outside, and unfortunately Harry was already there. They tried turning in, neither one did, and that is no front wing now for Mike. He drops down to P12, which promotes Pete now up into 9th place. How's your race going, Pete?
Well, that little incident with Mike caused I was being nice and tentative on the back of Jake, and then he just checked up, and I did clip the back of him and lost a little bit of my front wing. It's not going to hurt me too much as I'm now on the back of Jacko. Will he play ball or will he be feisty? It is his Kia Series championship to fight for, realistically. I'm just here to pick up the pieces.
Jess has a front right puncture. She's clearly hit some debris from that front wing at Saint-Devote going up the hill. She's going to have to go the entire lap now with a fully delaminated tyre through the I don't know if the hairpin's going to work. She's up on 2 wheels basically, rolling around, but she's doing very well so far to keep the speed up. But Jess will no doubt now go a lap down, because by the time that she manages to make it round to the pit lane, she'll have to stop, serve that puncture repair, and these guys are already making their way up to Saint-Devote now, up through as she basically skips the corner, gets 10 seconds for that. That would be replaced, or would be removed. However, of course, I imagine she will serve it. So Yellow flags are out for her. Guys are in the pit lane. New front wing for Jake. New front wing for MK Bourne. Wace in for a new front wing as well. Is it? No, it hasn't. It hasn't replaced his end plate, so he did not select yes on his front wing. So he has gone back out a new set of tyres, but still missing that end plate. So Jess is now into the box. So she did manage to make it around. So well done to her, but will be very, very close with Ben Harrop now leading by 2.5 seconds over Yuri. Will she make it in and out as Ben's going to be coming around? Jess is making her stop, though she's serving that 10-second time penalty as well, so she's definitely going to go a lap down. That's a real shame for her. So she will find herself a lap down at the end of this one. And she's often a one without that 10-second time penalty, she would have stayed on the lead lap. And if a safety car came out, she would have been able to cruise back up. But she's going to come out probably right into the path of Matt Shepherd, who just misses her. He probably wasn't paying attention to the fact that the pit lane basically feeds right into the racing line and down the main straight. As she gets out of the way and slows down, needs to make sure she's not doing it too dangerously going up the hill. Fozzie stuck behind us as Dustin Rolko on his Joker is trying to, I'm not quite sure what she was doing there, going far too slowly through the casino to try and let people through, but really just getting in the way of Dustin there, unfortunately. But that's dropped him down now 2.6 seconds behind Jacko as Pete has made his stop onto the hards. Tell us, was that a wing change, or is that just a get out of the track?
Yeah, that is a wing change, Gareth. I just decided I'm just getting a little bit too much slower because of the downforce missing on that front end plate. I just thought I'm stuck behind Jacko. I'm not really going to be going for a move. Try and go for an undercut. I have plenty of free air. VSC. Is that full course? No, just the VSC.
It is a virtual safety car for Wace, who has put it in the wall at the really through the Novell chicane. Like, I don't quite know anyone that's put it in the wall quite like how he has. He nosed it right in on that left-hander. Yes, I'm not quite sure how he's done it like that, but never mind. That's Wace done. So our first retirement of the evening was our pole sitter, the man that took pole position by almost a second. So it shows that you can be as fast as you want. You can basically be a TT sweat, and as long as you, well, as Pete said earlier, you just got to get to the flag, and unfortunately he wasn't able to do it. But back under green, just a VSC for that one, so that takes up one of our amount of safety cars and virtual safety cars, but does not crucially bunch up the pack as the pack is actually trying to get past Michael as he now drops to 13th position, brings out a yellow flag, but back underway, back green for him. So even with the bunch of drivers all looking to drop down, get a bit faster, get a bit of track time, we've got some Kia Series gaps building here. We've actually got Dan Price is the closest, 9/10 of a second now behind Shep. Shep, of course, has had that front wind damage, has stayed out. He's trying to extend these medium tyres as long as possible. Dan Price, the race winner here last season, hards for him, so he will be, I think at the moment won't be too unhappy with how his race is going. Yes, he is 10 seconds off the lead, but with the harder tyres on, he can run these as long as he wants. They do tend to go forever, the hard tyres here, but he can kind of run this race into his own window. And as Matt Shepherd gets all out of the shape there, as Pete did have the faster lap for all of about 0.7 of a second. As Dan is, as Shep is either trying to take off his other side of his wing to even up his downforce, or he's on the power too early out of several corners. It's the third time in this race so far I've seen him slap the wall on exit of a corner that involves some sort of acceleration. But as we're following behind, we've gone forward with Dan Price whilst he does so, and well, it's as Wace says, clip the inside. That's what no practice does here. Well, you did go pole, so as into the box does go Shep. So hopefully Shep has selected change front wing, as the inevitable has happened.
I've done what I've done probably 90% of the times at Monaco. On the exit of the Nouvelle chicane,
Yeah.
I've clipped my front left on that inside wall and it's exploded.
So they said don't let Pete in Zakia. He's far too fast. What's the point in having a driver that's a second faster in TT?
Yeah.
Who now joins me full time in the commentary box.
To be brutally honest, this is what I really wanted to do.
Well, you can now.
This is what I signed up for.
Well, this is only a VSC. It's not a full safety. I was just hoping for a full, but no, it's just another VSC. So we're going to go green probably very, very shortly, which frustratingly doesn't close the gaps up again. That works perfectly if you're the likes of Ben Yori and Dan Price. If you're the likes of Quinn, Shep, who just made his stop, of course, under a VSC, you can make your mandatory stops. Doesn't count the same as making it under a safety car, but we're now back green. Oh, let's have a look. Let's go on board with. Let's have a look at Shep. He's following Quinn. Of course, Shep, who started P2, he did get a new front wing as well, so he would have dropped behind Quinn because of that front wing change. Where's his pace now? He's got it, hopefully, reattached to the car.
Yeah, he's going to have to pick his point though if he wants to overtake Quinn. You know, Quinn is not the fairest of races when he's trying to go side by side with him, but that's just Jackocar for you. I think the moments where to pick it would be into turn one, down towards the end of the first sector to Maginot, and then sometimes the hairpin. It's very risky trying to go side by side to the hairpin, and also if you've got racing respect, the Nouvelle chicane on the exit of the tunnel. He's just got to pick his point and try not to put it in the wall like he nearly did on exit there. But if he's got more pace than Quinn, he's going to have to just pick a point and take advantage of it.
Yeah, that's been basically what we've seen from Matt Shepherd all race long so far. Is that's the reason why he had that front wing change. 3 of those just kicking the rear end out and losing some traction, putting it in the wall. So he needs to just be a little bit less lead-footed on the throttle. But it's been a good race so far for Shep. Coming into this one was former race
Ben Spurs in the pits. Ben Harriet into the pits.
That is our race leader into the box. He has, of course, still got that 3-second time penalty to serve at the end of the race. He won't have served that in the pit stops. Now, where does Dustin come out in comparison to this? Because, of course, Dustin on his Joker is just behind Ben, and that's going to be a really unfortunate one for Dustin. He wanted to get in front of Ben. He's going to need to clear him. He's got hot tyres. Of course, they are worn, but I think Ben might have just about got away with this one. Dustin could have really done with getting up in front of Ben there and maybe just kind of backing him up a little bit and hoping that it evens out when the strategy comes into play later on in the stint. As I mean, Dustin's still got quite a lot of battery he could have deployed, especially on that main straight. I would have dumped it all and just got up in front of him with a little bit more, maybe even 4 or 5 kilometres an hour. He would have got past, as that's definitely going to be a cut warning for him as he takes his way over the Nouvelle chicane. There's Ben Harriet equally playing chicken with some of these walls as he's really making a meal out of some of the entries and exits, but of course that's what Monaco's all about fine margins. Let's have a look. Anything else? Shep's still behind Quinn.
I think Ben's just trying to push a little bit too hard. It's more about consistency, I find, out of Monaco, rather than just trying to pump in fast lap after fast lap. Because, as you said, if you hit a curb wrong, you get your traction wrong on the exit of a corner, carry too much speed through a corner, you're more likely to end up in the barrier and lose your front wing. He is net race leader because he did get ahead of Fozzie Bear. He's in a very strong position to win this race because his nearest challenger has already made a pit stop, is Jacko, 9.5 seconds behind.
Yeah, it's at the moment it's gone a bit quiet. It tends to in Monaco. The middle stint of the race always does tend to sort of quieten down a little bit. Everyone tries to get into a bit of rhythm. The strategies are all over the place, and then we hope it will pick up for you all a little bit later on in the race. As Shep is still trying to get past Quinn. what it's actually doing is bringing MK Bourne into this, because I think by the looks of it, Shep has actually got quite a bit more pace than Quinn at this point. As Mike picks up another time penalty. Michael picked up one, OKK picked up one the last time, around 10 seconds. That was probably skipping the chicane. And there is, into the wall and out of the race, bringing out a first safety car, our Joker driver, Dustin Rolko. He is in the wall at the Raskas. What's he done there, I think? Is that possibly clipping the wall as a safety car stop for MK Bourne? He takes one and will be... Is that new front wing? I think that is just a stop for tyres. So on to the mediums for MK.
Yeah, I was following on board with Matt Shepherd through the swimming pool section. I saw a little bit of debris in the middle of the track, so I think Dustin might have clipped a wall going through there at some point, and obviously going through the swimming pool section in towards Raskas. He's obviously lost control of the car and just ended up straight headfirst into the barrier, and that's his race over.
Yeah, that's a real unfortunate one from Dustin there. I'm sure he'll be very disappointed with that, as was looking as though, even if it wasn't going to be a win, that he would have picked up a handful of championship points. And of course, getting to the playoffs in Kia is going to be an interesting one this season, with the All-Star variant, with the qualifying system the way it's going to be. Is that previously you would suggest that that getting into the chase would be ideal, but now we've increased the talent pool, hopefully a little bit more substantially, with a couple of Cup C5 drivers, the previous Cup C5 drivers. You should think that that should bump down into the chase a couple of faster drivers, making it a little bit quicker. So it's all these points will come into play. Of course, playoff points, those are the ones that people will be after as well. As stage points will come into it, and it's all about who can pick up points throughout the season consistently. These silly, to open up the season in Monaco is tricky, of course. Some of these people are perhaps playing the game very early on, and Quinn.
What has he done there?
Lost it on the exit of the casino.
That's very poor from Quinn. That is under safety car. You're not pushing, you're not fighting for track position, you don't need to be taking these risks, and I think crashing under safety car is pretty much as bad as getting a speeding penalty going into the pit lane under safety car.
Yeah.
There's no reason for it.
Yeah.
And I don't see why he's done it. He was in a strong position having made that first pit stop, and he's just thrown away all of his points for this Grand Prix. Just a quick note as well, the two drivers that have made their mandatory stops under safety car are Yuri and Daniel. Yuri's opted to go onto the soft tyres. That'll push him way past that lap 20-21 for that second stage, and Daniel's decided to go on a fresh set of mediums. That'll make him probably extend that stint a little bit and maybe go onto the softs at the end. Yeah,
that's, I think, for Yuri, that he won't be, he'll be pretty happy with that, because as you say, onto a set of softs now, he can run effectively to the second stage, put a set of mediums back on, I would imagine, and take it to the end. So, he might even elect to go on the hards just to be safe. But if he has got a fresh set of mediums, that would be the preference. But yeah, really losing two potential playoff drivers in the last lap and a half. One a little bit of a silly crash, and the other one under the safety car crashes, which we saw quite a few of last season. I was hoping to get out of the system of some of these drivers are crashing under the safety car, but we'll see if it's just the Kia brain disease that has affected everyone once again. But under the safety car for the first time this evening, 2 VSCs and now a full safety car. OKK is closing back up. Of course, I believe that Bazza is 38 seconds back.
Yeah, Baz is on the lead lap.
Yeah, Baz is on the lead lap. Jess is off it. She's in the middle of the pack, I believe. Yeah, she is in the middle of the pack. So Jess and Michael are a lap down. So Bazza's closing up. We will be under safety car for at least, I'd imagine, one more lap, because Bazza's not going to catch him by the end of this lap. But that means by the end of lap 18, we should go back green, and it will be Ben Harrett from Yuri, from Jacko, who's somehow up in 3rd position. Dan Price, who might be one of the drivers to watch out for. 1 lap, he's pitted onto fresh medium tyres. Shep, he's quick tonight, he's clearly got the pace, but a penalty and well, perhaps a little bit too trigger happy on the throttle at stages tonight. Will that come back to bite him later on in the race? Harry Collier having a Harry race, currently in P6, having not really done anything.
Yeah, we're getting to the point in this race where we're hitting the halfway stage, or towards the halfway stage. Drivers are now probably going to start taking a little bit more risks and trying to make those overtakes work. But what's gone against Ben is obviously that 3-second time penalty he's got. Yuri, I don't know whether he's going to try and attack on the first couple of laps to try and get that track position first, because he will want to box as early as possible to try and get an undercut. The issue is, if he's behind Ben, Ben will probably be in that same window of trying to box at the end of lap 21, just to cover off any issues further along in the race. But with tyre choices, we've got Matt Shepherd on the hards, that he could run extremely long into the race and probably wait for that second safety car to come out. It might be inevitable now, the track's bunched up again. I am actually very surprised that it's taken this long to get a full course caution, but this just shows the level of drivers we now have in the Kia series. But
oh, don't give yourself that much credit.
I'm not giving myself credit. As safety car is now going to come in and
I would say that that Monaco has had a real issue with safety cars over the last few games, where they just don't like to come out. I mean, obviously, we had on the last game where at Monaco there was a bug where the safety car just wouldn't come out at Monaco in any situation. But yeah, it does close us back up. What do we get from Ben Harrett, of course, as he'll be exiting Anthony Noakes. Can open it up any time from now. Waiting. Red lights are flashing, and he's now underway, and he's actually got the jump on Yuri. Yuri was falling asleep at the wheel there. He was already 7/10 back off Ben, but will have the advantage of soft tyres. Everyone making their way through Saint-Devot. Looks as though nice and clean. As we've got, let's go on the back of Shep, who's now watching Dan Price on the back of Jacko. Oh, he tags the wall a little bit there, and if that's not, I don't think it's wing damage, but that will, as we know on sim damage, if you touch the wall, you will give yourself almost 10% as tyre. Whereas this is getting a little bit scrappy between Dan Price and Shep, who have both tagged walls, tagged each other. Held position. Harry Collier, is he going to be the beneficiary of this? On the button, off the button, a little bit of push to pass, but not brave enough just yet to make a move on Matt Shepherd.
No, not at all. And I think Jacko was sleeping as well on that restart. He fell well outside a chunk of a second to Yuri. So both of those two drivers really fell asleep on that restart. They gave Dan a little bit of opportunity to run up the hill to get a little bit closer to try and go for an overtake. As you said, a few mistakes from himself, clipping the wall. Hopefully he hasn't sustained any damage, because as we know, downforce is key at Monaco. He can stay with Jacko and either try and force an undercut, because Jacko is on the older tyres of the tyre grid, other than Jake, who's now deciding to box. That is, unfortunately for Jake, 1 lap too early, or 2 laps too early, should I say.
Yes, there's a lovely move there from MK. Ball gets down the inside of Harry as they go into the casino square, and he gets up into P6. So now behind Shep, and Harry can go with him. It was Yuri that was on the attack of Ben, but had to back out of it. No way past for the Dutchman going at Ben Harrett as they break down towards the Novell chicane. As he looks at the rear diffuser of the car in front and making their way down, you can see into the back. Yuri just hasn't quite got any room to place his car at the moment. He needs to use these soft tyres to his advantage, and at the moment Ben's doing exactly what he needs to do to keep him behind, as Yuri closes right up as they head into the Raskas, kicks the rear end out, and they get in through Anthony Noakes. DRS will open, but I don't think he's quite close enough to make a move. You really just need to be glued to the back, and these cars have got such good traction on this game that even if you do think you've got the advantage, sending it down to turn 1 here is unlikely. But you see, with the advantage of grip. Yuri can close in as much as he wants, but really, until you get now, unless you're going to send it into this corner, which is unlikely, then you're really going to get a position to make a move until you go down towards the braking zone before the Novo chicane. And it looks as though Ben Harrett's placing his car in all the right places. Behind, I'm hoping Pete has been watching this battle that's been going on with Jacko basically holding up the entire field.
Yeah, he is indeed. He's lost 3 seconds this lap alone since they crossed the line to start lap 21. 3 seconds, so he was 2.5 behind Yuri. He's now 5.5 behind Yuri. He just doesn't seem to have the pace. I think he's hitting that point on those medium tyres where we will see him box at the end of this lap.
Yep. So, of course, second stage coming up. Kaya, just to let you know, the Joker was Dustin or Fozzie Bear, so he has retired. So no more Jokers tonight. It's not really a Joker track. Monaco is. You are completely right, Pete. Jacko does dive in as Matt Shepherd gets it all wrong and tags Mike into the wall, and that brings out a safety car. And if you're Jack Ricketts right now, you have just looked up at the sky and thought someone is shining down brightly upon you. Because he's now onto a set, but it is a set of hards, so it's not.
I'd say that's the correct choice.
Yeah, probably the right decision. So, will we see anyone else? Of course, the likes of Yuri has made a mandatory stop under the safety car, so he cannot do it. So this.
Yeah, I think that's a mistake from Yuri.
Yeah, so this is
not boxing.
Yeah, that's blown Yuri's strategy up massively. The safety car earlier kind of worked for him, and then this one is complete opposite. So Jacko has just brought himself right back into the party. I mean, he's going to be locked to a delta at the moment, so he can't gun it too hard. But will we see some of these leaders in for another set of mediums, possibly a set of hards, take us to the end? Jess gets 3 seconds under the safety car. I don't know how she was at the Novel chicane, but
yeah, that's another one of those scenarios that it's under safety car. You shouldn't be crashing, you shouldn't be cutting corners, and you shouldn't be speeding in the pit lane.
Right, so leaders in. So Ben Harrett and Yuri in. Luckily they're not teammates. Dan Price stays out. So he has decided that he's going to go a little bit later. Mike will, I imagine, feel somewhat aggrieved. I think that was just a racing incident. Jess cannot be driving under the safety car. The speeding under the safety car for Jess. She will not be able to serve that driver until we go green as well. So that's going to drop her probably even further back. Yeah, unfortunately for Mike, it looks as though he did get alongside Shep, but I think once again Shep just kicked the rear end out just on throttle, maybe just getting a little bit too worried about the fact that Michael pulled alongside him and just tagged him just so well. It wasn't too gently, but enough that it upset the balance of MK's car and unfortunately put Mr. Kelfborn into the wall and out of the race. So that is out of our drivers that were in the Cup Series last season, 4 of them in fact, because of course Pete was one of them, are now out of this race. So leaving just Yuri Haslager, Ben Harrett and Michael Okeke in the race. So Ben Harrett on hards. Jacko gets up there. He jumps up in front of... No, he was in front of Harry, wasn't he? So Jacko holds position in front of Harry. But now, effectively, with the fact that Yuri, yes, he's on medium tyres, that he which I'm not quite sure I agree with that, unless Yuri's going to plan on short stinting this. I'm not quite sure. But what I would say what Pete can do is quickly join the PS party and find out what his plan is, and then rejoin us.
But I don't think he's in his own PS party. I think he's just on his ones.
What a loser! But yeah, find out what Yuri's planning, because at the moment mediums, I probably would have done another stint on the softs and then gone on to mediums to take him to the end. But maybe he's looking at doing a medium stint and then softs when he has to make a mandatory later on in the race, because he won't be able to do it under a safety car. Of course, if another one comes out, that's going to hurt him even more. But at the moment, he is in P2. But Dan Price, 8 laps on those mediums. It's going to be... Well, he's basically going to be like a, unfortunately, like a seal that's injured in the water, being hunted by ravenous sharks with all these guys on soft tires, fresh tires behind him.
Yeah, I don't know whether you noticed, Yuri did jump Ben in the pits. Ben did take a wing change on that pit stop, so that's actually benefited Yuri a lot more. If Dan had decided to pit, obviously he knows the rules. He obviously didn't think he could pit. He's obviously opted to stay out. Track position is key. He will then lead the restart. Yuri now has to get by Dan as quickly as possible to try and pull a gap. I agree with you on his choice of tyres. I think you should have gone for another set of softs, because if another safety car comes out at the point where he would then box for a set of softs, he's ultimately screwed for his second mandatory pit stop. But we're about to go green once again, Gareth.
We are indeed, for the second time in the last 10 laps, a safety car restart. We've had 2 VSCs, now 2 safety cars. Ben Harrett will lead us away for the second time. We'll see this time if Yuri can go with him. He was caught napping on the last one, but around the Raskas into the final corner, out of it. Yuri leaves a little bit of a gap here. Ben's going to wait. He can wait as long as he wants up to the line. A nice restart from Ben Harrett once again, and we go green. And sorry, it was Dan. Sorry, not Ben. So it was Dan. Dan that restarted.
I was going to interrupt, but I didn't want
to. Who cares? It's do you know what? It's all these liveries look exactly the same. That's what it is.
I wonder why that is.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, Dan from Yuri, from Ben. Jacko has got Harry behind him. Shep once again missing an end plate, unfortunately. So. Even though he made that stop, he didn't get a wing change with it, so he is still missing a right-hand side end plate. Jake in P7, and Bazza, even though he, I think self-admittedly, says he cannot stand this circuit, is I think that was Jacko getting it all wrong there, going into the tunnel, and that's going to open the door for Harry to potentially go around the outside of him into the chicane. Lovely move there from
let him
Harry.
have it. Yeah,
just didn't fight it at all, and that is, I think, because Jacko is now missing an end plate on at least one side of his car. I'm trying to see if it's both sides. He's definitely missing, his left-hand side missing end plate. So everyone's seemingly leaving carbon fibre. His Shep behind him is missing the exact same one, I believe. No, it's the opposite side. So they're all the trading sides at the moment. But DRS now out. Yuri on his fresh mediums, right on the back of Dan Price. And Michael picks up 3 seconds, multiple warnings. That would have been at what looks as though the swimming pool. But, well, Yuri now 5/10 back. He's got Ben Harrett with him, but was Ben Harrett with that time penalty? It wouldn't hurt him too much at the moment, because Harry is 2.1 seconds back from him.
Another good move there. Jacko getting absolutely mugged at these corners. Matt Shepherd down the inside. Into, I need to remember these corner names. It's one of the most iconic tracks. I can't remember the corner. Just before the hairpin, down the inside. And just so you know, Matt Shepherd had no front wing when he had that contact with MK Bourne, so he would have changed it. So I have a feeling he's picked up that damage under the safety car or on that restart again.
Wonderful. As Jacko almost tags the wall and he exits the back there and then runs over massively over the entry to the swimming pool chicane. But I think we might see Jacko into the box, because it looks as though, now he stays out, it looks as though this lack of downforce is really hurting him. He was in a really nice position at the safety car restart, but you can see now already almost 2 seconds back behind Shep, who himself is missing the front wing. So yeah, it's all getting a little bit messy now, as Harry Collier is now up into a net podium position. So they're all starting to form up behind Dan Price, who on those 11-lap-old mediums has now got Yuri, Ben Harrett, Harry, and almost soon to be Matt Shepherd for company.
Yeah, Yuri's got a little bit of end plate damage on his front wing. They must have clipped the wall, just trying to push it a little bit too much. Harry Collier is in a fantastic position to win this race, because he's made his mandatory stops, he's not got any penalties, but if he can stay within 3 seconds of Ben Harrett, he's winning this race.
Yeah, that's an interesting to watch out for, because who needs to make their mandatory still? Yuri's got a mandatory to make, and I'm guessing Dan Price has still got a mandatory to make. So will be the battle between, as into the box does come Yuri. So he is he going to go for a set of softs and long stint these softs, which they will be hurting by the end of the race. But I imagine he's going to do it. We'll see it flick over. No, it's a set of hard tyres, Yuri, to go to the end of this one. God. This is like the sort of strategy you see Mercedes pull, but it's
Ferrari, you think?
well, yeah, no, they just don't bring them in.
That's true.
So that drops Yuri down to P8, and kind of really in a bit of no man's land now. Ben Spurs, as you say, is got that time penalty, but is sitting behind. So Harry Collier kind of needs to, as you say, stay with him, but I don't know if Harry's quite got the same pace that Ben Harrett does at the moment. Of course, Ben Harrett, a former Cup Series C5 winner, and
gone deep.
he did, and that's going to open up the door for Shep to go through and up into P3. Lovely move there from Shep, making use of Harry just getting a little bit skew on throttle on the exit of Novo Chicane. Shep now up into P3, but of course with that time penalty, and into the box comes Dan Price.
Yeah, and I believe that will be, other than Jake, all mandatory stops completed by all drivers. It's basically punch it all the way to the end now, other than Jake, who will definitely need to make an extra stop. Not only was his not mandatory on that lap 20 pit stop, he's been on these mediums essentially for 15 laps. He put old mediums on his pit stop, and now he's going to have to make a stop, probably for soft tyres. He's probably just trying to extend the stint to those softs. And if a safety car does come out, our final one, I believe, he will definitely be boxing for a set of softs.
I'd love to know where this Matt Shepherd has been for the last few seasons, because he's now all over the back of Ben Harrett, and Ben's had a bit of a scruffy lap so far, having taken the lead due to the fact that Dan made his last mandatory stop. Harry 1.1 second behind, down to 9/10, but Matt Shepherd absolutely hounding the back end of Ben Harrow, who goes deep, almost tags the wall, and just going to check to see if Ben's yeah, he's missing that right hand end plate, so that's what's costing him these downforce levels. And effectively what they are now is they're matched, so they're both missing the same bit of the car. However, what's happened is Shep's got used to it, as Michael picks up another 10-second time penalty. I think that's his third so far. But Shep now is kind of used to, I imagine, this downforce, and Ben maybe not so much. And they're battling now over the lead. Both got the same time penalty. So currently, Harry Collier's on for the win, but D does need to stay within 3 seconds of these guys, and currently he's 1.7 seconds back off of the race lead. Jacko 5.7 back, having the issue he had losing some positions with that wing damage as well. So it looks as though the majority of the field has left themselves with a little bit of work to do in terms of downforce. But Matt Shepherd still on the back of Ben Harrett. Ben Harrett going over the Novel chicane. They're actually starting to come up to the back of Michael Okeke. We'll be interested to see what Michael does here, because of course he's in the same stable as Ben Harrett. Does he let through Ben? And or I think what he's going to do here is quite nicely give Ben some DRS to defend down the main straight. He'll pull to the side and let them go.
Yes, I was going to see if Michael would just let Ben through and slot back in between them, but because those cars are very nip and tuck together, it'd be very difficult to try and slot Michael's car in between them. But this is going to be a battle all the way to the end. It's all about whether Matt Shepherd has the determination and will and fight to just send a lunge, try not to take himself and or Ben out in the process. But he seems to have some really good pace, even with that wing damage.
Yeah, you're right. As you say, even with the wing damage, it looks as though he's very comfortable around here. And yeah, we're really starting to put pressure on Ben Harrett, who doesn't really seem to have an answer at the moment. But of course, with the same time penalty, they are both in the same position, and Harry Colley is now starting to fall back a little bit. What you don't want from Matt Shepherd is to get a little bit too excited. There's still a lot of laps left to go. We've still got 8 laps left to go in this one. You don't want to jump the gun too early, throw it down the inside, perhaps get caught up in an instance you don't need to have. You can kind of sit there for a bit and just kind of suss out the right place and the right time. We don't want to see any silly moves where you get on the throttle too early, put yourself in the wall, put someone else in the wall. It's all about, as Vic said, picking the right moment to make the right decision. So he a little bit of a scruffy end to that lap. He dropped back down to around 6 seconds behind. Harry Collier down 2 seconds now, so that's 2.5 back off the leader. So he is going to need to find about half a tenth or so to keep himself in this fight for a potential first ever race win.
He is indeed. I've been running on board with him quite a bit. He seems to not be as committed as Ben and Matt are through the chicanes and through the first sector. That's where he's losing the time out the most. I have a feeling that he's going to fall out of that 3-second window anytime soon, and it's just going to be a battle between Matt and Ben for who takes this victory.
As Michael picks up 13 seconds in less than a second there. So he is going to be on his way to see the clerk of the course, I'd imagine, after this one, to get his licence revoked. But Shep, once again, kicking the rear end of that car out again, and that's going to cost him. Drops down 1.2 seconds. He's getting a little bit too excited here. Knows that there's a potential win on. And, well, a couple of small mistakes there has dropped him outside of that DRS window. And that is exactly what Ben Harrett needed. Just to get a bit of a breather now. Because Matt's going to have to push hard and maybe burn a little bit more battery. They are coming up to Jess, however. As Jess is going to meet them at the Lowe's hairpin. Which is probably not really where Ben Harrett wanted to catch up to a lapped car. Into Portier, you can see he's had to back off the throttle a little bit, and that's going to open the door to bring these guys back into the party. It does bring Matt Shepherd back within that 1 second window, so he did lose about 0.4 of a second clearing Jess. Harry Collier now 2.8 seconds back, so he really lost out in that position there. 2.5 now, so you can see
he's made a mistake, I think.
Yeah, he's clearly done something because he's
lost a second.
Yeah, he's
in that segment of the track.
Yeah, and it's definitely maybe just being a little bit overcautious because, as you say, yeah, he's still behind Jess, but it's 2.9 and he cannot get past. Jess is going to pull to the side now, surely. Yes, she does. Harry just isn't passing her. No, he finally does. There we go. I'm not quite sure why Jess didn't let him go sooner. I think she was trying, but weird, because he's now 2.9 seconds back and was stuck behind Jess for... Well, the guys cleared her at Portier, and he had to wait until the entry to turn 1. So has that potentially cost Harry the chance of a race win here? Because Matt Shepherd back within 0.9 of a second. So it is still these two fighting it out over the race win. And of course, now that Ben Harrett is a full-time member of Kia, he does not need to be nice to anyone. He does not need to think, oh, I'll give you a race win, who cares, I'm only reserving here. He is more than welcome to take victory today. Matt Shepherd knows the exact opposite. He knows that Ben Harrett's come down, he's a quick driver, and if you can get one over on him very early, potentially you open up the entire season. He's right now on the back of Ben Harrett. 35 laps are just about to be started. And Pete, how do you see this one ending?
Oh, do I see this one ending in tears? He's getting a lot closer down towards turn 1. I just don't think he wants to send it because he's got a guaranteed podium on the cards here if he finishes where he is. But pretty much guaranteed P2 now because that gap to Harry is now over 4 seconds. Does he want to risk that? Does he want to try and throw it down the inside? He can be a little bit more aggressive in the final few laps, especially that final lap, if you want to make a chance for you to win this race. Realistically, the mediums are going to start dropping off now. I feel like 15 laps is where the tyres really start to hurt, especially the rear tyres on the mediums, and the hards will be the better tyre. But it's just all going to be about keeping your focus and just not putting it in a wall, as they have, both of them have seemed to have done throughout this race.
As Matt Shepherd once again just really pushing the limits of grip and adhesion for these tyres as they make it their way through the swimming pool section. And Ben Harrett, to his credit, isn't really making these errors here, and of course he does have, as you say, the hard tyres on, so he will have the grip advantage, but you can tell that Matt Shepherd is pushing like his life depended on it at the moment. There's a little bit of ERS saving there and harvesting as Yuri picks up 3 seconds. He's down to P6. He's trying to close up to Dan Price for P5. But Matt Shepherd, as you say, maybe starting to struggle on these tyres. He's 8-9 tenths behind. He needs to stay in DRS as we're going in to start. Well, at the end of this one, it'll be 3 laps left to go. Ben Harrett is looking as though it's going to be a win on season debut here as a full-time Kia Series driver. He's actually broken out of DRS on that or through that second sector there. As Matt's trying to stay in it, he's burning as they go through the tunnel. I think they're both using some battery now tactically to try and come into play, and I would imagine that Ben Harrett is just managing this one. He has got only less than 20% of battery compared to Matt Shepherd, who's got over 70, so Shep can burn. He's got plenty of attacking ability in the car with that push to pass button, but has he got enough to make a move on the leader of this one? Of course, they're both sitting on that 3-second time penalty. Harry looks as though he's given up the chance for a win. He's now 5 seconds back, and I don't think he even had wing damage, so perhaps it was just that once you've lost that the DRS of being in the guys in front, it was just the natural pace of when you're driving with someone, you tend to drive to their pace, and as soon as they drive away from you a little bit, you back into your own pace, and you drop off a little bit. You kind of get back into a little bit of a poor rhythm. But Shep now 7/10 of a second behind, really trying to find a way past. And at the moment, Ben Harrett doing everything he needs to do. But Shep on the button. He's burning, he's using, but Ben Harrett knows when to cover and defend. And this time around, no change of position. And you can tell he's not making any mistakes, is he, Pete?
Ben isn't at the moment. He's keeping his head nice and calm. What I've noticed as well with Matt Shepherd, he's keeping his ERS in none for a lot of the lap. Yes, it helps recover the battery, but around this track, you don't need to have it in none unless you've literally burned all your battery. Leaving it in medium or even hot lap throughout the entire lap is enough to give you the pace and keep enough battery for quite a few laps. And I think he needs to bump it up to at least medium for these final 2 laps if he wants any chance of winning this race. He gets close, but I feel like that extra horsepower on the exit of corners with the benefit of that battery is the key to him winning this race.
Yeah, it's been a fantastic battle between these two. Certainly wasn't expecting these two to be the ones fighting out for the win on the opening day of the season. And of course you can see Ben Harrett in action, Jackocar. There'll be clips going up periodically over the next few weeks. He will be taking his favourite team, Chelsea. Can they get into a potential top half finish? He'll be looking for, I imagine, for the final remaining games of the season. Of course, it's the Jackocar JC Cup tomorrow night, and will it be a cup? Well, cup championship, perhaps a cup run for Chelsea this season. But we're about to start the final lap. It's Ben Harrett from Matt Shepherd. Has Shep got anything left? He's on the button. But Ben Harrett is actually harvesting. He's got nothing left. So Shep he's got the advantage, as you say, on the tyres. Ben Harrett looks as though he's just managed to hold him at bay. Last lap does mean you can get your elbows out a little bit more, but it would be a mighty send. I don't think Shep is the kind of driver that drives like that, but he would, I'm sure, whilst probably be a little bit frustrated. That could have been a send there, Matt. You could have gone down the inside, but is he going to try and line him up for the Novo chicane? You've got to keep this. Is going to be perfect through the exit portiere. You've got to keep it pointing in the right way. On the button, burn it all the way down to the chicane. Line him up. All right, Ben's used the right things at the right time, defending where he needed to go. And it looks as though, there we go, there's the end of Shep's race. You can see him just weaving in frustration. He backs off a little bit. Harry Collier is out of the race at the Nova chicane with half a lap left to go out of. Oh my word, he's done exactly what Waste did. Out of an absolutely nailed on podium. And Matt Lester is absolutely roaring in laughter at that. As it's now going to be Dan Price on the podium. We've just missed the boys coming across the line. Apologies. It was Ben from Shep, of course, with that double penalty. It's going to be Dan Price who's going to get on the podium again based on penalties. Jacko will be frustrated. In fact, he's going to let him go, so he does. As it's Dan Price on the podium. Jacko P4, Yuri P5. Jake, I'm sure, will be somewhat happy with a P6. So he's got to the end. Bazza equally up to P7. He'll be delighted with a 7th place finish in Monaco. OKK's picked up another time penalty, another 10 seconds. He's basically just ignoring chicanes at this point. It's Alonso in Abu Dhabi a few years ago. As yeah, so it's Bazza, next one to round, and I mean, I cannot wait to see Harry's message after that one, because that is not the way you want to start your season, of making an absolute twat out of yourself on the last lap of the race. But Bazza, last one on the lead lap, comes home in 7th position. Jess in what will be P9 and P10, because of course Harry was on the lead lap, but will not get the point, so they will be bumped up to P9 or P8 and OKK P9 with, and I can't wait to see how many penalties that was, because it was at least 40. But it is Ben Harrett who is your race winner ahead of Matt Shepherd, and a surprise Dan Price. I'm sure he will be surprised with that as well.
Yeah, congratulations to Ben, making his mark in the Kia series as a full-time driver. More to come from Ben for the future races. I can see it. He's got the pace. He's crying and moaning that he'll be fighting in the chase campaign. Not anymore, so you're on your way to the playoffs with that race win at Monaco. And congratulations to Matt Shepherd as well for that 2nd place, pushing Ben to the limits all the way to the checkered flag. Something you love to see in Formula One. Drivers extremely close, coming to the end. Unfortunate for the penalties. If either of them had kept it within the white lines, then it could have been a different story. Matt Shepherd talking about it in chat about his retirement. I'm sure he'll be very frustrated with that, bottling a guaranteed podium. But I think Daniel Price will be very happy with getting a podium out of that, with that strategy blunder due to that 2nd safety car.
Yeah. So well done to Ben, Matt and Dan. Jacko, I'm sure, will be slightly irked that he's missed out on a podium there. And Yuri gets a playoff point for fastest lap of the race. Ben Harrett, I believe, will take most laps led as well. But that is basically us done for round 1, and will be a short appearance for me, as I will not be here next week. So Peter will be taking you through to Spa.
Will I now?
You will.
Fantastic.
You will. So you're welcome to ask anyone to join you. So, or you're welcome to ask Yuri as driver comms. It's up to you.
We'll figure it out coming to next week. But I'm going to be leaving you for round 3, because I will probably be in Yuri land. And could I be watching Yuri live? I could literally be commentating right in his ear if I really wanted to.
Well, if you want to do it, you want to do it from behind him, that would be even better. So we properly put him off.
Just a little bit. But yeah, I'll be leading the way for Belgium next week. A track that has seen a lot of action both in Cup and Kia, and I look forward to it. Weather can play a factor as well. It's one of the longest tracks on the calendar, but also with the fastest flowing corners as well. I look forward to it.
Yeah, and that will be next week. So do join us for that. As you see, it's 13th of August. Join us at 7 p.m. British Summer Time for Spa. I've been Gareth Been joined by P. Knight, and congratulations to our podium finish and race winner Ben Harrett. And we will see you next week. Good night.
Good night.
Every week, next time for more Kia series will be the end. engines roar, the tires screech, but deep down, this ain't our beach. We'd rather be chilling on a sandy shore. But thanks for watching, we appreciate it more. Race day blue.